accomplishments of Alberto, though. Top 4 in Stuttgart regionals, top 8 in Liverpool regionals. He has been on this big stage before, has been performing. EUIC and Liverpool, both a top 32 there as well. So top 4 currently on par with his finish in Stuttgart.
Yeah, hoping to go one step further here as we have a look at James Cox. World's top 4, world's top 8, Dortmund regional top 8. That was, of course, quite recent, and then a Players' Cup top 8 as well. So we are looking at a phenomenal player here with a real history of high-level success. Last time we were on the desk, we were looking at a Regidrago mirror match. We are again looking at a Regidrago mirror match. We saw some draws go in James's favor in the previous match, but we know that James clearly knows his way around this matchup. And of course, I'm pretty sure Alberto does as well. This has been one of the decks to watch for a while now. It will be one of the decks they have tested. Both players are going to be familiar with a mirror match, and at this stage of the tournament, everyone knows what everyone's playing.
Absolutely, and we have seen how these mirrors play out, and it's really interesting to see if they take any other approach or if it's going to be the same. I mean, we saw some puzzling because the cards were not quite in their favor, and we saw some attacks with the Ogerpon Teal Mask early on. That's not very usual in this mirror game. Going to be really interesting. We have been championing Nina, going from a top, like she was top 32, now top 16 here back to back. James on the other side, top 8, now top 4 in the first 2 regions of the season. Even stronger accomplishments, going top 8 or higher back to back. That's huge.
Yeah, James is having a great run. James seems to always have a great run. One of the players who basically just always ends up at Worlds and, you know, top 4 at Worlds, top 8 at Worlds. I mean, that is, not many players have done that, you know, a couple of years apart. Not many players have made the top 8 at Worlds twice. For most players, top 8 at Worlds would be, you know, your one big accomplishment, and we would be delighted with that. Yeah, James has done that twice.
Absolutely, and I have once made the argument that if you want to count yourself towards one of the greatest of the game, you need that Pikachu trophy at home, which comes with a top 4 finish.
Yes.
James has done it, has one of those, and is trying to add more results to his list of accomplishments. We see the prize though. Talk us through the prizes.
We've got a Kyurem prize for James, which these are generally only played as one-offs. We saw that in a previous game, and I have mentioned one thing we have seen at Worlds where players in this mirror match trying to go double Trifrost early to get cheeky quick wins. That is not going to be an option for James here. That is not there. So it looks like Alberto is going to be going first, and that is a big deal because, as we've talked about, this is a deck that doesn't do much on turn 1. Turn 1 is a setup turn, and then you start going into the game proper. So if you can get that first setup turn, that first attack, it makes a gigantic difference. And just as a quick reminder, while we see Alberto doing the first deck search, the deal is simple. You want to get free energy on a Regidrago V-Star. You then can copy any attack of any dragon Pokemon in your discard pile. How do you get the free energy on there? We use Teal Mask Ogerpon. We attach extra energy to that during our turn, 1 per Ogerpon per turn, and then we use Energy Switch to move it from Teal Mask Ogerpon over to Regidrago. In terms of the attackers, generally we're talking Dragapult, 200 to the active, 6 damage counters to the bench. Or we've got Giratina, which is 280, but you lost zone 2 energy. Or we've got Kyurem, where you discard all your energy, but do 110 to free Pokemon.
I really like that you brought up Kyurem because, as you said in our previous stream match, a double Triforce can actually take out 6 prizes in 2 turns, in 2 attacks. And that could be huge here because 110, that's 220, that takes out the Ogerpon Teal Mask. However, chat and viewers at home, I want you to remember how much Ross was praising that Ogerpon Teal Mask, because that will be relevant when we talk about our community bracket later on, where Ogerpon Teal Mask made it all the way to the final. But for now,
I think we focus more on this game right now, Barris. Thank you very much. We do have a Teal Mask Ogerpon down, though, for Alberto, and it looks like we are seeing a, I want to say that's an Ultra Ball coming down here. And that means that we are going to be going and searching out another Pokemon. It is a Giratina, which means we're going to see some discarding, probably with a Squawkabilly, because, of course, in order to copy those attacks of those Dragon Pokemon, you have to get them into the discard.
Yeah, and having access to Squawk and Seize this early on in combination with an Ultra Ball is amazing because you pick out one of these Dragon Pokemon that you can't use, but Squawk and Seize lets you discard them, and they're in the discard pile, and the attack will be ready to be launched once you have the attack, the energy, and the Regidrago V-Star, obviously. I think
Oh, have we whiffed energy here?
That was going to be my next question, but I think I see a fire energy in hand.
We're good, we're good. Yeah, we need an energy this turn, right? We need to get an energy attached to the active Regidrago V. And this is the other good thing about going first. You're not pressured to have to get 2 Regidrago V. James does, because if James only gets 1 Regidrago V on the board, Alberto could potentially gust it into the active and KO it. So James actually does need to double Regidrago here in a way that Alberto didn't need to. Straight away, we see an Ino.
Yeah, first Regidrago has hit the bench immediately with an energy fueled up there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I would love to see another Regidrago just to have the safety net. Then on top of all that, we would love to see some grass energies start piling their butt on your Ogre Pawns. It's great to pick another one. And here, Earthen Vessel. Amazing combination because you get to discard 1 card. And if you have a dragon that you want in the discard pile, Earthen Vessel is the perfect opportunity.
Yes, you get that Dragapult in the discard, and that is your general kind of starter for 10 attacker. Unless you have a specific attacker you need to use, that is your general attack, 200 to the active, you drop 6 damage counters anywhere you like on the bench, bring those Pokemon into range of your other attacks, and that sometimes against, say, a Regidrago V-Star, you have to hit 280, so you're going for Giratina. Sometimes you're going to get great value out of that Trifrost from Kyurem, and that's fine, but your general attacker here is going to be that Dragapult. And, while we're bringing up things that aren't, just for the match, with 2 Regidrago with Dragapult in top 4 and a Dragapult in top 4, I think it's pretty clear who won the caster prediction this weekend.
Yep. No, I mean, your experience pulls through and you had the right instinct to call out that Dragapult. Amazing card, of course. 2 grass energies because 1 fire is already attached. 1 Ogre Pawn is in hand, so you get to attach both of these. Got quite some energy on board that will help you later on in the game because you can only attach 1 energy from hand manually to one of your Pokemon. Regidrago V-Star needs 3 energy. What helps you out here is your energy switch. However, at some point you need your Ogre Pawns to help accelerate those energies, and having them on so early on helps you to then only you won't need the energies, you only need the energy switches if you already have them on the board.
Yeah, we did actually get a Squawkabilly off of that Teal Dance. And I was thinking, are we going to see that played? It would discard a fire energy, but that seems okay, apparently. So here we go. Has discarded the one of Knockdowns. That will need to be recovered if we try using it later. But here we go. We've got a nice new hand of cards. And it looks like we're going straight for an Ultra Ball. I do think we need another Regidrago V. I know it's a lot to ask for, but it is possible for Alberto to KO that lone Regidrago on his next turn.
Absolutely. I mean, it looks a little bit rough to me personally, seeing that one of Noctowl hit the discard pile and the one of Pheasantipity also in the discard pile. Now, we have some Super Rods in the deck that can recover them. And another thing I would love to see over the course of this matchup is how much of an impact Noctowl can actually have. Because looking at those lists, James already featured on stream has been running that Noctowl combination with the Ogerpon Tiermas that with Jewel Seeker allows you to pull out any 2 trainer cards. On the other hand, Alberto doesn't even run that. So it's going to be interesting to see if that makes a huge impact, especially in the mirror.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Looking at the list, there are a lot of similarities. You're one of Cleffa, you're one of Radiant Charizard, you're one of Squawkabilly, for instance. But you're absolutely right. There's a 1-1 knockdown line in James's list, which is not present in Alberto's.
Yeah, the other significant difference I see is a 1 of Penny from Alberto. And maybe picking up a damaged Pokemon here could come in favor to prevent any build-up knockout. Of course, keep in mind, we have 2 Regidrago on the bench now. That's exactly what we wanted, and a couple of energies on board as well. I see Professor's Research, which can help us to further build up this board in the next turn, but I went back to Alberto.
Yeah, James didn't go first. He wasn't able to launch an attack there, but he did about as well as you could possibly have done. You got your 2 Regidrago, 3 energy on the board, 2 Teal Mask Ogerpon. That is basically a perfect start there, and we see an Ino coming down from Alberto.
Yep.
And both players are going to get a new hand of 6 cards. For Alberto here, it's nice and simple. 2 Grass Energy, 2 Energy Switch, and once again, we see a Teal Mask Ogerpon left in the active because it's not the best target, and it forces a Giratina attack where you lost zone 2 of your energy. It is an awkward Pokemon. That 210 is really annoying.
Yeah, and I see the grass energies have been missed here. Before the Iono, there was actually an energy switch in hand, which is now at the bottom of the deck. That's why it was so huge for James to already get 2 grass energy on the board, so you only need to look out for those energy switches. Yeah, this is, I mean, you gotta, to stay in the game, you have to use the V-Star power. Discard 7 more cards and get access to 2 from your discard pile.
Yeah, we've got a couple of energy going down there. We've got a Regidrago and a Teal Mask. Ogerpon didn't hit any of your dragon attackers, which you'd sometimes want to do. And it looks like we're grabbing a Regidrago and an Earthen Vessel here.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that both the other Regidrago V have been hit the discard pile, so it was crucial to recover one of them. Otherwise, you're stuck with only one attacker for the mid-game, basically, and don't have it ready to evolve anytime soon. So getting that back from the discard pile, probably hitting the bench, so if in any following turns his own or the first Regidrago V-Star goes down, he has the option to evolve again. But V-Star ability has been used. And, I mean, at the moment, it's still struggling to get off the first attack. So it will be even harder to get off a second attack if you can't build up that second Regidrago.
And I do think you need to bench a Regidrago here because James absolutely could get a KO on his turn. And when you run out of Regidrago in this matchup, you know, Regidrago's your only real attacker. Here is an energy switch, though. So now we got the free energy onto Regidrago in the active. And what do you want to do? Do you do 200 to the active and drop 6 damage counters?
I was going to say, which dragons do we have? I see Dragapult.
We do have Giratina as well. It's hidden. You can see it right at the bottom next to Dragapult there. I do believe that is Giratina.
It was pulled out of the first turn. Yeah, it's definitely a Giratina with the Ultra Ball, and then Squawkins, he's discarded that. So yes, we have that option available, but then again, 2 energies in your lost zone, even harder to set up another follow-up attack.
The real question here, it's awkward, because on the one hand, I don't want to lose my energies. I want to do 200 to the active, 6 to the bench. I can always drop 1 damage counter on that Teal Mask Ogerpon later and KO it. The issue is, and this is what we're doing, and I don't mind it, I like this at all, this is what I would want to do. However, if James gets a KO, you lose all those free energy anyway. Here's what I want to know. How familiar are these players with the list? Because if you did this against Alberto and he plays a Penny, that was a largely wasted attack. James doesn't play Penny, so cannot punish this. Does Alberto know that?
Yeah, and I think especially with these 6 damage counters going the opposing board, really interesting to see 5 hit the Squawkabilly, 1 hit the Ogerpon. And that's exactly the numbers you need, because that Ogerpon on the bench, down to 200 HP, will be knocked out by another Dragapult attack.
Yep.
That you might be thinking, why is there 5 damage on the Squawkabilly? 160 down to 110, that would go down to a Triforce.
Yeah, and that's what we see in this Regidrago mirror. When you're dropping those damage counters with Phantom Dive, it is all about leaving Pokemon in range of other attacks. Now, this turn is huge. If James gets a KO on Alberto's Regidrago, takes all that energy off the board, he is giving Alberto a big task to try and get an attack off on the following turn. If James misses a KO here, Alberto could run away with this game.
Yeah, and we have seen this in the last Regidrago V-Star mirror, where there were potentially 4 prize turns set up, but they never actually pulled through and got them. Here, I mean, the Ogerpon down to, what is that, 10 HP?
10 HP
That's
remaining.
An easy knockout there. So with a boss and pick out, for example, that Squawkabilly or even the Ogerpon, you could pick up KOs on both Ogerpons here, which is huge, with 200 on the active, 60 on the bench, 4 prizes. So let's see if that will come into effect here. We see the Hoot Hoot being drawn, but the bench is already full, and the Noctowl was discarded earlier, so unless you use a Super Rod, you won't have access to that.
Yeah, Super Rod or Regidrago V-Star ability. They're the only 2 ways we're going to be seeing that Noctowl again. Now, the good news is we got 2 energy on the Regidrago. The bad news is we don't yet have the 3rd. So are we going to go for an energy switch here? Can we find an energy switch? Do we go for the V-Star power? Yes, we do!
Not quite yet. There's a... Seems to be that one in hand that he wants to use first before then using the V-Star. So let's...
Why not both?
So let's see which 7 cards will be discarded here and how much of an impact that will have. Okay.
So we drop... Okay, that's not bad, actually. You lost an energy switch and an energy, but you can get them back if you want them. You also managed to drop a Dragapult and a Giratina, which are Pokemon you want in the discard pile, and then like a couple of Ultra Ball, which are less important. So sometimes you can get really punished for using that V-Star power. That didn't happen. So James is grabbing an energy switch and an INO. I like this.
Absolutely, and now it comes in handy that this early on he was able to already attach some of the grass energies to his Ogerpon, because if he uses Lost Impact, he can use the 2 grass energy on the Ogerpon and still has free on the attacking Pokemon.
But now here's what's interesting. Choosing to energy switch over to a Regidrago V and then play the INO, he's basically saying, I want some energy left for next turn to attack. So what you're going to see here is Lost zoning at least 1 off the active Regidrago, basically just saying, I'm gonna hedge. I'm gonna hope you don't have a return KO, but I'm going to prepare in case you do.
Absolutely, and that foreshadowing, that forward thinking, setting up future turns, that's what separates the good from the very good players. And I agree with you, maybe discarding one from the attacking active one and saying, hey, if you take this out, at least I already have 1 grass energy on the second one. And if not, I might get access to another grass energy and just attach it to the active and attack that way again. So I think basically setting up the board to take a knockout, the first knockout of the game and the first 2 prizes in this prize race.
Now we do see a Super Rod coming down. That is going to get their Pheasantipity and a couple of basic energy back into the deck. And once again, like we see from these Regidrago decks, your deck gets very small very, very quickly here. You end up with, few cards left in deck, which means that finding things like that Pheasantipity become a lot easier. And if you play it right, and it's not always easy to do so, you can get, a really easy end game where you draw what you want. We did see the attack from Regidrago V-Star, and as predicted, it was the energy off the Teal Mask and 1 energy off the active.
I really like how you called that out ahead of time there. Amazing play and really well picked up. So let's see if and how Alberto can come back or respond to this threat here. He has a Regidrago, has to evolve it, but has 0 energy in play at the moment. So he basically needs to get access to 3 energies and 2 energy switch as well.
And the V-Star.
And the V-Star on top of all of that. And
really
V-Star ability was already used. And yeah, I don't see any supporter in hand, do I?
Oh, and a pivot, because Teal Mask Ogerpon's in the active.
Maybe this is an indication that says it's too hard to find all the pieces right now. So I don't want to put my Regidrago in the active position where it might get knocked out. I'd rather stall out 1 more turn and try to find all the pieces that way. I see 1 grass energy in hand, a Super Rod that probably will put some of the energies back as well. Question is, what is the right sequencing? Charizard seems to be hitting the discard pile with the Earthen Vessel to get more energy out of the deck. Let's look at the energies. 2 grass, so 3 grass, 2 fire. So there's still plenty of energy. I see 1 fire and 1 grass.
1 fire, 2 grass. That's what's left in the deck. I believe that's what we saw there. 1 fire, 2 grass.
Yeah, and 1 grass was in hand as well. So you will have all the energies that I was talking about. 3 energies. You can't play the energies down, then play a potential supporter. But I mean, Pheasantipity is also on the hand, and the knockout was just taken.
So that's going to be another 3 cards drawn. Have we seen the Prime Catcher yet from Alberto?
I don't see it in this card pile. I don't think I've seen it in hand yet. So there's still the opportunity. All right, first Super Rod is being played, putting 3 Pokemon back. Oh, I think 2 Regidrago V-Star are currently, now will be pulled back, but in the discard pile, and 1 was in the prizes. So he needed that Super Rod actually to have the option to evolve that. So now energies there. V-Star in the deck. Pivot yet to find. So I see an energy switch in hand as well. So some of the pieces are already there, and we have I think it would be huge if there's a drawing supporter drawn out of the Pheasantipity.
Yeah, we also do have Mew in hand as well, and we can actually lower our hand quite a bit potentially here to draw more cards. I think that was a Kyurem that we just drew off of the Teal Mask, and I think we're going to see the second Teal Mask here. Of course, you can use that as a pivot, but then you wouldn't have enough energy to attack with Regidrago. So, honestly, if we could... Actually, no. See, that's the thing. Even if you get your Prime Catcher, you actually want to KO the active. This is such an awkward situation.
You could get Prime Catcher and get a 4 price turn here, but then you would still leave, I mean, one of the active Regidrago with V-Star with 2 energies in play, and that's not what you really want to give your opponent. There's a Pheasantipity. We have seen an Ultra Ball in hand, but chooses to play the Pheasantipity first.
Okay, so we draw 3 cards, and we did
Prime Catcher.
Prime Catcher.
Is that also a boss's order?
Maybe.
Let's see if we get a better view at what is the second card.
It is boss's orders. You were correct. As he gets this version,
but no drawing support.
No, which is not ideal. No switch.
I would have loved to see lowering the hand count first, having access to Mew, pulling or thinning out your deck even further. But I'm also not sure if there was any Pokemon actually left in the deck. So let's see what this Ultra Ball will get us here. So there's one Regidrago V-Star. That's what we needed anyway. It's great to pull out there.
The only switching cards in Alberto's deck are Prime Catcher and Penny. They're the only cards that actually let you get your active out of the active. And Prime Catcher, this is what we see in the mirror. You end up running low on energy. If you keep doing Giratina's attack to take out a Regidrago, and then you get you end up running out of energy, having to rely on too many energy switches. It gets very, very awkward very, very quickly.
Yeah, one aspect I like about the game is like some players might be thinking, hey, should I try for the rare chance to get all the pieces? Should I extend the turn as far as possible? Or other players might be thinking, hey, I might not have all the tools and I might not want to waste some of the options I have here. So we see a Mew, that's an easy target because again, always retreat for free. Prime Catcher was being used, correct? Fire Energy hits there. There's the energy switch, down to one card. We can use restart, draw 2 more cards. Is there drawing support?
Or an energy switch. It's an Ultra Ball and a Jamming Tower, I think. Jamming Tower, bad draw at this point in the game. Does nothing for you whatsoever. So it looks like it was a setup turn. We pass back to James. James is up by 2 prizes, and it is his turn. And this is where James could really punish this. All he needs is an energy, a pivot, and he can use an attachment with the ability as a pivot. If he's got an energy to attach for turn and a gust onto that Regidrago on the bench, James takes a huge commanding lead in this game.
There's the other grass energy we needed, so we have that pivot.
Oh, has he got Prime Catcher in hand?
I don't see it, but a research being played. 7 fresh cards, and the deck is actually quite thin at this point, so there's a high chance. Let's look at the first 3. A boss's order in hand.
And Prime Catcher would preserve that energy as well, which would be big. It's a Pheasantipity, but it's not a Prime Catcher. It's an energy switch, but it's not a Prime Catcher.
It is a Prime Catcher. Oh my God.
That means the pivot and the gusting on the Regidrago. That means that James can go up by 4 prizes, take all the energy off Alberto's board, and the only Regidrago. At that point, it is basically game, and we're going to be going to game 2. This is going to be huge for James. Final card was that Prime Catcher, and you've got to believe Regidrago's going down here.
You couldn't have set this up any more tension there. It was literally card by card. The last 7th card was the Prime Catcher.
You made us wait to see all 7 cards there.
Now let's play it safe. Yes, you have the tools to take a knockout here, but sometimes players get ahead of themselves and just play it immediately without thinking further into the future. So yes, 2 energies back into the deck. Let's make sure the damage counters are correct. Deck is being shuffled. Opponent looks at the discard pile, but we will see, and that's why also the extra energy was so important, because now you can discard any 2 grass energy you like, and you have more energies left so for future attack if Alberto chooses to continue this game without any Regidrago in play.
Okay, now it looks like we're seeing a retreat here. We do actually have a boss's orders in hand, but we've used our supporter for the turn. So it looks like we're not going for the Prime Catcher here. Looks like we're KOing the Mew. This is absolutely fine. We take the prizes and we're putting energy, damage on Pheasantipity, energy on Squawkabilly, like we would expect, bringing them down to those key numbers. My worry here is that Alberto just needs a grass energy from hand to KO the Regidrago, and then James needs a grass energy, a fire energy, and an energy switch in order to have an attack next turn. Make no mistake about it, James is still very much in the driver's seat in this game. He is absolutely still the favorite to win this, but I really like the idea of taking out all of my opponent's energy and their only real attacking threat.
I would have loved to see that as well, but I'm sure James he's in semifinals for a reason. So he will have a plan to checkmate out this game.
Oh,
I don't think Alberto has any way to draw 6 prizes, even though there's so much damage at the moment. So which basically means, hey, take as many knockouts as you want. I have 2 Regidrago V-Stars. One already has 1 energy, so I mean, I only need 1 energy manual attachment and an energy switch to attack next turn, basically. So it's not too much to ask for, and then I'm 1 attack away from winning, because if you have a Regidrago V-Star ready, it takes out any Pokemon here on the field at the moment.
Oh, it absolutely does. He has got Giratina in the discard, hasn't he?
That's a good question. Maybe we missed that part, that Giratina is not in the discard and he couldn't even have used the attack. That might even be the missing puzzle piece that we have not considered here.
I think he does. I think he might have even hit it off the V-Star power earlier in the game, you know. We'll hopefully get confirmation of that. If James has another look through his discard pile, we'll have a little bit of a gander. Either way, James is in a commanding position in this game. Essentially for Alberto, it's take out your opponent's active Regidrago and just hope they don't have it. Because James has 2 prizes remaining. If he gets Grass Energy, Fire Energy, Energy Switch next turn, he will win the game. He will KO his opponent's Regidrago, and that will be the end of the game. Or he can even just, you know, gust something like a Squawkabilly and get an easy KO, or even just use Kyurem's attack and KO the Squawkabilly. He's got like 17 different routes to victory next turn.
Absolutely, and I said, like, yes, there's some 4-price turns here, but then you would just leave the active Regidrago V-Star in play, and that's 1 KO, 1 attack away from winning this game. So yes, we see Grass Energy here. That's the missing piece to allow Alberto's Regidrago V-Star to attack. We see a potential play here. What is he considering? Putting the Radiant Charizard into play with a Fire Energy, retreating and hitting that for, I guess, 250 damage.
Yeah, the theory here is...
bossing.
Boss onto the Mew. So here we're taking 2 prizes and leaving a single prize attacker in the active. But there's the boss's orders, and James there is going to be able to move on as to, you know, a 1-0 record here. We're not moving on to the final yet, but we are 1 game up very nicely indeed. So, and there were plenty of routes to victory that I believe the Kyurem was actually prized from James in that game. I don't think he'd taken it out the prizes, but certainly had enough routes to victory in the end there. And it really was a situation where James had the faster start. He was able to get those KOs nice and early. And oftentimes when you're playing a mirror, that's what it takes.
I mean, it was such a dominant position towards the end. You just saw how he said, hey, yes, KO my Mew, I have Boss. On top of Boss, I also have the Prime Catcher. But let's look at the replay here and see how this first game played out. James took the first knockout. Board was ready. Alberto managed to deal, spread some damage that didn't take any knockout. And this basically cost them the game in the long term, not having taken any prizes. There's damage, but it didn't really matter. You saw some of the setups. 10 here, 50 there. Everything is in either 200 or 110 range. Charizard doing 250, but it just wasn't enough to close out the game. Boss, and on top of that, I also have the Prime Catcher.
Yeah, plenty of gusting there available at the end to take out that Squawkabilly, finish out the game, and we move on to game 2. We're in the top 4 of the Lille Regional Championships here. James Cox is 1 game up over Alberto Conti in this best of 3 series in the top 4, playing for a chance to play in the final, where they will face either Dragapult or Snorlax.
Yeah, one other thing I want to point out here is looking at Alberto's record. He's 11-0-3. Throughout 14 games this weekend, he hasn't lost a single one. This might be the actual first loss, but the deciding loss that would kick him out of the tournament. James must be really feeling himself going 1-0 in that top 4 set here.
Yeah, James does have his one-off knockdown prize, so that is something to track as we go through this game. Alberto will, of course, go first after losing game 1. This is a matchup where you definitely want to go first because you can take the first KO, but like we say, it's simple things like you don't have to worry about playing 2 Regidrago V on turn 1. You can get other Pokemon down, whereas James is going to need to do so.
I think Radiant Charizard is probably one of the worst starters you can have. Yes. It has a high retreat cost of 3 energies.
Oh, I'm going to interrupt you there, Barish, because it looks like Alberto has passed over to James. He benched no Regidrago. He got 2 energy on the board, but he didn't get any Regidrago down, so there will be no Regidrago V-Star next turn.
Absolutely, and I love how you said, like, you want to go first, and we kind of have this stream chorus where players go first when they want to go first and then just don't have the tools that they want to. The same thing happened in the last Regidrago V-Star, and we say it's almost as if you give James the first turn and allow him to use a supporter, which is huge here. Great call out for the missing Regidrago. On the other side, James already has 1 Regidrago and is playing an Ultra Ball, currently price checking, making sure which tools he has for the rest of the game. Yeah,
the big prize, like we say, is that knockdown. James won't have access to that, unfortunately. And that's important because you don't want to go and spend resources searching out a Hoot and then realize that your only knockdown is prized. Right now, we have gone for a Dragapult, and you know what that means? There is some way to discard in James's hand, which is actually another Ultra Ball.
I mean, that discard is huge. The first Ultra Ball already has a Giratina and a Regidrago V-Star. The second one gives you a Dragapult, and having access or discarding your Pokemon this early on, your potential attackers that you want in discard pile, is just such a huge advantage. We have seen how this plays out when you have everything on board, but you're just missing the dragons in your discard pile, and basically saying, hey, I have my Dragapult in discard pile, I'm setting up my Regidrago, I will be attacking very soon.
Yeah, and that attack does seem like it is going to be coming out. Now we get Squawkabilly, and we have Tealmask Ogerpon on the bench there. We got Squawk and Seize for a new hand of 6 cards. We've got Giratina and Dragapult in the discard pile ready to go. We're getting some energy here with Earthen Vessel, and for as bad as Alberto's start was, James seems to be having the polar opposite right now.
Yeah, it's almost a broken record, but we say it once over again. Earthen Vessel, Grass and Fire energy. Attach the fire to your Regidrago and use that grass energy to accelerate it onto your Ogerpon Tealmask. I think we might actually see the attack of the Regidrago as well, which allows you to discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If any of these are energies, you can also attach them to this Regidrago. So with a cheeky, maybe grass energy discard, you suddenly have an extra energy on the active, and that's such a huge advantage.
And it looks like, are we going to find, oh, we see an energy switch going over there, so 2 energy on the active, and here's the thing, James went second, but you look at Alberto's board, you know Regidrago is safe. We do not see a Celestial Roar. Like we see from the V-Star power, it can give you some funky discards, and that will lead to some problems. And look, you got 2 energy on. All you need next turn is attachment for turn,
which is in hand, which is also in hand.
And then you've got your attack off and rolling. I adore this. And oh my, no. Okay, no, we got Professor's researching. I saw Alberto's hand moving. I'm like, he's not going to pass, is he? But no, there is at least Professor's research in hand.
Yeah, and that will give him access to more cards. And it's up to...
I got bad news. There's at least 2 energy switch in hand.
This is where not having access to Regidrago will really hurt his future turns here. We see that, I mean, the stadiums won't really matter. Second energy heading the Charizard, that will actually help you to, I mean, withdraw or retreat more so. But also, wait, 4 energies. I mean, he can also attack soon.
There is an option here that Alberto gets.
He's 1 energy short.
Energy and an energy switch, and actually gets a KO with that Radiant Charizard. It is not supposed to ever be used as an actual 5 energy attacker. The attack takes 1 less energy for every prize card drawn.
What do we need at the moment? We need another Ogerpon, another grass energy, and another energy switch. I see a Nest Ball that gives you access to Ogerpon, but do we have enough to get the? I mean, there's an energy switch in deck. We have used 2 of them. There should be 2 left. Let's see. I mean, that would be a miracle, right? You're thinking that's such a bad start, but we have seen how the attack of Ogerpon suddenly took knockouts. In this case, getting a 5th energy on there and taking the Regidrago, which felt so safe in the active position. He just left it there with 2 energies, and that might be knocked out with 250 damage.
When I said that the Regidrago V was safe, I'm just putting it out there. I don't think it was reasonable to expect 3 energy switch and an attachment for turn onto the Radiant Charizard. But here's the issue. If this, even if this happens, Alberto's used 3 energy switch, and yeah, you can get 2 of them back with your Regidrago V-Star power, but then you're forcing yourself to get 2 of them back, and whatever else is discarded is lost for good. Right now, it's a moot point. We don't have a grass energy.
Yeah, let's see if we can thin out the hand to use Restart.
At least for 1 we can.
Yeah, and I think there's another Ogerpon in hand as well, which allows you to thin your hand even further. Squawkabilly, you don't really want to play that beyond your first turn.
No, you really don't.
So, and do you want to search? I mean, I guess you can search out anything else that you can put on the bench, like the Regidrago. So, Regidrago and Ogerpon filling up the bench and then allowing you to basically draw 1 more card. I'm not quite sure if there's any 1-card combo that could allow him to attack here.
So what you need is exactly this. You draw 1 card, it's a grass energy. You attach the grass energy to Tealmask Ogerpon, you draw 1 card, it's an energy switch, then you can attack with Charizard.
All right, chat, get ready. I mean, yeah, okay, let's see. 1, restart for 1. We can also get an Earthen Vessel.
It's a Giratina.
Okay, never mind.
Now, there's several things going wrong here, Barish. One is single Regidrago, that's your main attacker. You do kind of have to respect the Charizard here. But yeah, so James is just going to use Dragapult's attack, KO the Charizard.
Did he just top deck a boss?
I don't think you even want the boss here.
No, to KO the single Regidrago, maybe.
I don't even want to get rid of the Regidrago here.
You want the energies off the board?
Yeah, I want to get rid of all 4 of those energy. I want to KO the Charizard. I can drop 6 damage counters anywhere I like here. So no, I want to KO the Charizard. Now, I'm not saying it's the only option. There are other options, but yeah, we're going to see a professor's research. If I see 4 energy on that Charizard, if I KO the Regidrago, my opponent gets 250 damage without attaching any more energy. I do not want them to have that.
True, but that would also be their only attacker, and it can't revenge KO here. 250 is not enough to take out that Regidrago Vista. But yes, you rather want to get those 4 energies off the board, absolutely agree. And you also open up your hand for more turns. I mean, having used the boss, you would have had the Professor's Research for the following turn. But Professor's Research was the choice from James.
Yeah, I like this. We get rid of the Charizard. We get to drop 6 damage counters. And we can do that thing we always do, where we put like 1 on the Ogerpon, 1 on the Fezandipiti, 1 on the Ogerpon, bring them all down into range, maybe even 2 on the Regidrago, just in case it doesn't V-Star the following turn, and just bring everything down into nice, comfortable range of your regular attacks.
Yeah, at the same time, however, you activate Fezandipiti. Right, so now they have quite some drawing power. They haven't used their V-Star power yet, so it's not completely out of the range that they would now evolve, use V-Star power, use Fezandipiti, get all the tools they need. There's also Iono in hand, so let's see how this turn plays out. It's not completely out of the blue that we would see an attack from Regidrago V-Star here.
But the thing that I'm really checking here, Barish, 2 energy switch have gone. Just for that Charizard.
True.
Which never even launched an attack. Alberto is behind on resources here. So, yes, you can do it, but you need both your remaining energy switch, which I'm just going out on a limb and saying I don't think is that likely. It could happen, and when you've got stuff like Fezandipiti, it helps, but it is asking a lot. Here comes another Regidrago.
And the Iono. I mean, yeah, you make a good point, but even if you pull it off this turn, you will have used all your energy switches, and only with the V-Star power you could recycle some of them, and it's going to be so much harder to follow up with any future attacks. And the only other downside is that Radiant Charizard is a 1-prizer, so it doesn't quite fit into this 2-2-2 prize trade, but I mean, James will know why he picked up that KO specifically. Let's see if there's a chance to actually set this game up. I think Iono got him a grass and a fire energy. They are required anyway for this setup, so maybe it goes even further beyond that.
And I've just had confirmation that Clement has gone and won 2-0 in the other top 4 game. We have Dragapult in the final. It won in Dortmund. It couldn't get better than 24th in Louisville, but it's back in the final in Lille, and it will be facing either Alberto Conti or James Cox. We've got a Dragony final coming up, but first we need to decide which of these Regidrago V-Star are going to be in the final. Right now, James very much in the driver's seat. Is Alberto going to be able to get an attack off this turn? We still need Fire Energy, 2 Energy Switch, and a Regidrago V-Star. All those cards needed for an attack this turn.
Let's see, Fire Energy. I don't see an Ultra Ball. Supporter with Iono is already used, which limits your drawing power here as well. I think that Fezandipiti was used as well, so it's really difficult to get the remaining pieces here. Not impossible, but at this point, quite hard to come back into this game. And I'm like, one way or the other, I think this basically seals the deal and makes Dragapult our champion, because either the deck itself or one of these Regidrago V-Stars will win with Dragapult in the list. So well called out there. Going back into this game, let's see if Alberto finds an opening, finds any chance, maybe stalls, and then, I mean, because Radiant Charizard was knocked out, only giving 1 prize cards, James still needs to take 3 knockouts.
James does, but here's what James did beautifully last turn. He gave Alberto no good stalling Pokemon. Everything is in range of a Dragapult attack, or is a Regidrago. So there's nothing Alberto wants to put active here. He's left the Mew active. This means James is going to take 2 prizes, essentially the first 2 prize KO, and get 6 more damage counters down on the board. So basically guaranteeing he will only need a single Giratina attack the entire game, because that Regidrago V on the bench will be put up to at least 8 damage counters, and that means that it will be in Dragapult range. So this is fantastic if you're James. You are putting Alberto in a super awkward position, and yeah, you only, and again, You didn't get a Pokemon KO'd, so you can set up your bench. So Alberto can't do that thing where he KOs the only Regidrago. No, because there's one on the bench ready to go. I love having a turn with Regidrago where I don't have to recover. I can just keep setting up.
Yep, and we're already preparing the dice because there's going to be a KO on the active, 50 going to one Regidrago and 10 to the other Regidrago. 2 Regidrago on the board, only 1 with an energy, and James at this point 3 prizes up. 3 prizes up, 2 more knockouts, and he will seal this game. Not, I mean, really difficult for Alberto in this position here. He kept both his Regidrago. There was no pivoting here. We didn't see any of these double Trifrost shenanigans to close out the game either. It was just a simple KO and preparing future KOs. Everything is now in Dragapult KO range. You see 80 damage on the bench Regidrago. If that evolves, down to 200 HP. Both the Ogerpon, 10 damage, and the Facintipede, 10 damage as well. All 200 HP remaining.
Right now, the biggest issue is, can Alberto launch an attack? You need Grass Energy, Energy Switch, and V-Star, or 2 Energy Switch and the V-Star. That is the combination you need to launch an attack if you're Alberto Conti this turn. You're down 1 game, you're behind in this, you know that Dragapult is waiting for you in the final. The question becomes, can you get a comeback here, win this game and the next one, and make it through to our final?
I think I had a quick sneak at the hand. I saw 2 Ionos. They could probably help him draw out of the situation here. I didn't see any research, I believe. Earth and Vessel gives you more energies. Super Rod cycled some of these back. I mean, Regidrago, Vista is not. There was only the Charizard knocked out early on. There's also no real attacker in the discard pile for Alberto, right? There's no dragon.
He doesn't have Giratina, and you need Giratina. That's the other thing that's important here.
Yep.
This has to be a Giratina attack. There is absolutely no way Alberto is going to win this game without using Giratina to start taking out those Regidrago. You have got to hope, and James doesn't need much next turn. Energy, Energy Switch. That is literally it. So if you are Alberto, you need this. And remember, 2 Energy Switch, I believe it's just 2, are gone. There's only 2 available, but V-Star Power can still recover a couple of them.
Yeah, and this is where the drawing part of this deck shines really through. We have Super Rod putting energy back into the deck. Earth and Vessel getting energy out of the deck and also discarding your Kyurem. On top of that, we can now attach them to the Ogerpon and draw 2 more cards.
Okay, are we in desperation mode here for Alberto? Because maybe it's time for double Trifrost. If you just go down the traditional route, you're not going to win this game. Could there be a situation where you can Trifrost this turn and next turn, KO both the Teal Mask Ogerpon and the Squawkabilly and the Mew, take 8 prizes and win? You will need 3... No, I don't think you can, because you'll need 1 Energy Switch this turn and 2 next turn. So, yes, there is, because you can use your V-Star Power to recover Energy Switch. If I'm Alberto, I think that is about the only option I've got right now. I don't think I'm winning with a 2-2-2 strategy. It needs to be Trifrost, Trifrost. I think that's his only option here.
Yeah, it's also one of the only Dragon Pokemon in his discard pile at the moment. There's a second energy going to the Ogerpon. Oh, an Ultra Ball. That would give you the V-Star. That's 1 missing puzzle piece at the moment. And that gives us the V-Star ability as well, which then can further impact the game here. Legacy Star. Discarding the top 7 cards off your deck. And then out of all the cards in this discard pile, you can pull 2 into your hand.
And this is where it gets really dodgy, because essentially for Alberto here, it's energy. You need energy and energy switch. If you hit too many off of your V-Star power and you can't recover enough of them, you may not have the resources to attack twice and win the game here.
Yeah, so that top 7 discard will be huge because he needs to recycle some of the energy switch. But if they're also the remaining 2, if they're discarded now, we'll see how that will actually change the complete outcome of this game here and basically just seal it for James. When I say completely change, just seal it for James because it makes it even harder to attack twice. Let's see. There's, I think, is this in Professor's research first?
Yeah, Professor's research coming down. We have an energy switch and a grass energy, so the attack is live now. We will be getting an attack from Regidrago. Both the cards we needed were drawn, which is huge. We do also have a boss's orders, but of course that will have to wait for next turn. The question is, are we going to try and see a double Trifrost emergency play, or are we going to try and see a more traditional prize race here? I'm just worried that Alberto just does not have the resources.
Yeah, let's look at the discard pile and see if, yeah, I mean, I was hoping to get a view there and see if there's any dragon Pokemon there beyond the Kyurem. We get more energy out of the deck. Giratina is actually still in the deck, and it's a one-off, so that is not live yet. We get another grass energy out. And here's the point. With that, one energy switch in hand. Can set up the turn here and then use V-Star to get 2 energy switches back to have them ready for next turn. So that research instead of the Legacy Star was actually very smart and keeps him in the game.
Yeah, and I don't think you use a V-Star this turn. You don't need it this turn. You need it next turn. And also there is a chance you literally deck out, which doesn't matter if you win the game because the end of the turn never happens. You can have 0 cards in deck. If you win on the turn, you have 0 cards in deck. So I think here we go energy switch, Trifrost, and then hopefully next turn we've got V-Star, Fire Energy, double energy switch, and we can finish out the game that way.
My question right now is how is there access to a second Regidrago V-Star? One is currently in the active, the other one is not evolved yet. Yes, but do we have access to another Regidrago V-Star? I wasn't sure if there was one left in the deck.
That's what I mean. We would need a Fire Energy and 2 energy switch and a Regidrago V-Star. We would need all of those things to attack next turn.
Oh.
We are going to V-Star this turn. Now, we've counted up. We're not decking out this turn. That is very important. That would be bad. And Alberto's getting rid of Prime Catch. Oh, that last energy switch is gone. That's not ideal because it means you only basically get, you know, a maximum of like 5 energy switcher and you're really looking for 6.
Yeah, and I also see another Regidrago V-Star hit the discard pile there. So there's a huge decision here on what to recover and how to get back. If you have a Super Rod, you can always shuffle it back into your deck that way, of course. So let's see which 2 cards. I mean, Energy Switch is required, at least 1, right? And I think that's what he's aiming for right now.
Yes, of course.
Oh, and the Prime Catcher.
Prime Catcher as well.
Just checking what else is in the discard pile. Energy Switch and Prime Catcher it is. Everything else hits the discard pile. There's 1 manual attachment, 1 energy switch.
Okay, so we do have the attack here. The attack is coming out. Where are we going with this? Is it going to be...
One more aspect, though. I think he missed discarding the Giratina, which is still in the deck, so he doesn't have that attack available. We see a Prime Catcher, manual retreat, and now is this the first Triforce?
I like it combined with a Prime Catcher because then you're saying to James you have to pivot out of it, and if you don't pivot this turn, then I will definitely win. It's just making it more awkward for James while you're spreading. And I think this has got to be the... Yeah, we see Kyurem going to the top. I don't see any other way Alberto wins without doing this. This is what we've got, and... Yeah.
I really like how you called that out, not only in this game, but before. The double, I think it happened before on stream, the double Triforce, 6 prizes in 1 turn. Absolutely possible. Checking the prizes here before drawing his own card for the next turn. And if he finds a way, I mean, he has still 3 prizes, still needs to take 2 knockouts here. Even if the actives knock out, down to 1 prize here. And Alberto still at 6 prizes. Basically, he gets to Iono for 6 if he wants to. Just needs to find another Regidrago V-Star and all the remaining pieces, which is quite a lot to ask for, but not impossible.
Yeah, Alberto's going to get another turn here. Now, we do see the Prime Catcher onto the Pheasantipity here, and it looks like we are going to be going for... Now, yeah, so the energy is gone. That's the thing. The energy is all gone because you use Trifrost. So James is setting up an I win next turn scenario. You KO the Pheasantipity, which is huge, because otherwise that would give James more cards. And are we, Professor? Oh, I really wanted an Iono this turn.
Yeah, that leaves him at all his hand cards here, but gives him fresh 7 cards. Let's see if he can extend this turn any further. We have an energy switch setting up. You're basically saying, I have 2 Regidrago V-Star here. KOing one of them won't help you. You will need that Triforce. But regardless, if you get energies to attack, you might as well Triforce. So KO the active, spreading 60 damage on the board. Doesn't matter too much here. The question is just, can he get another Triforce for a game?
Yeah, that is a real question here. James has game next turn. There is absolutely no question about that whatsoever. We see an energy from Alberto. We need double energy switch. There is 1 energy switch. 1 more energy switch, and we haven't got Giratina in the discard yet. There's Boss's orders onto the Teal Mask Ogerpon. We no longer need Giratina in, and... Did we have it?
I think it just says you might as well have it there. That was a desperation boss.
I don't think we saw any energy switch. We'll get some confirmation. It has gone on the screen that James is won by 2-0 here. That was a very weird end to the game where Alberto's playing, then just puts the cards down, does the fist bump, and it looks like James Cox is going to be going to the final to play against Dragapult at the Lille Regional Championships. That was a very fun game, a very awkward game. There was a chance right at the end for Alberto to take the win. He just needed one more energy switch, and it was not there, and that means that James was able to get one more attack and go and win the game. Yeah. And I'll tell you, Barish, endings of the game like that always make me a little bit nervous, because I go, hang on a second, they just stopped playing. No, I didn't think we missed anything. I was sure that James had won, but we need that confirmation just in case, because they start the turn, they're halfway through the turn, the cards hit the full, and no one celebrates.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the replay of that game then. Let's see how that best of 3 came around, and we see a little cheeky smile from Alberto there. Did not get the best draws in this best of 3.
So yeah, also failed to take any knockouts early on. There's a 200 damage on. I mean, I would have loved to see one of the Haulucha action to take one of these knockouts, but there's neither in the decks here, so that was not a play. And James just step by step taking out the Charizard. They were almost attacked turn 2 for 5 energy. Insane play. Didn't quite work out, so he had to retreat, and James was like, first knockout, another 2 knockouts, spreading damage, setting all future knockouts, leaving all the Pokemon at 200 HP or less, saying my Dragapult's attack will basically knock these out.
Yeah, we see the final game, the final moment here of game 1 where James takes that last KO with that Regidrago, and then we go into game 2. Horrendous start for Alberto with that Charizard in the active, and Alberto obviously not happy. You're down 1 game, it's not going well. We eventually actually start building up this Charizard. We use 2 of the 4 energy switch in the deck, but we don't get the 5th energy onto Charizard. It was a lot of resources. It was a cheeky little plan. It could have come down nicely. The players are having some fun with it, but it never worked. Regidrago took it down, got rid of all of that energy, and really put Alberto behind for the whole game.
I mean, commiserations to Alberto. Even if that second game didn't quite turn out his way, he had all the time to finish out his turn. Didn't quite, like, had no path to victory left there, but just the last few moments on stream, on this huge stage. First loss he has to take all weekend on. 11 wins, 3 ties, and now this loss seals it for him. Sends him home, but with a top 4 result.
Yeah, and we just see that last little moment there where the cards hit, the fist bump comes down, and we're pretty sure James has won, and then we get the confirmation that James has in fact won. 1 energy switch away from forcing a game 3 from Alberto there. But, and again, we saw all of those resources used right at the beginning of the game with that Charizard, and unfortunately, that left Alberto without the resources needed at the end of the game to get that last attack with Regidrago, and that unfortunately was it.
Now the question is, could he have saved the energy switch? I mean, he extended really far to get that attack off, but imagine, turn 2, 250, take out the loaded Regidrago in the active position, suddenly you're back into the game. You still don't have your Regidrago.